rematch from Super Bowl X between the Steelers and Cowboys. Pittsburgh's Terry Bradshaw took advantage early.
When you hear the name, you automatically think success, talent, wealth. For years, he was the man we admired on the football field and on the tube, and now on the big screen. But almost a decade ago, deep down inside, Terry Bradshaw was quietly suffering.
Clinical depression was what I was diagnosed with.
On the outside, Bradshaw was the man of steel, but on the inside...
You know, I've been where you just break down. And I remember so many times saying, God, how long is this going to last? Because it was periods.
Bradshaw was suffering all the signs of clinical depression, feeling down and hopeless for weeks at a time. But he's on a mission now to get the word out that depression is treatable.
Clinically depressed people like myself, we have the chemicals in our brain that don't quite cross the road, when they should. And so we have a balancing act in life, and we have to, one of the things, that's why I always tell people, you got to go see a doctor, and you got to get a therapist, and you got to talk about it.
That's a big problem for those of us in the military because we've been trained to, suck it up. Real soldiers don't ask for help. Well, as I found out, pro football players don't ask for help either.
Tough.
But on TV, on Fox, everything, you came across as the alpha male. How did you cover it up? How did you cover up how you feel?
Depression doesn't steal your personality. It doesn't rob you of who you are. You're left to that choice if you want to feel sorry for yourself and woe is me and go off and get in the hole and stay in the hole. That's not it. Now, I am alpha male, maybe so. I am not someone who takes kindly to being down.
Army researcher Dr. Chuck Milliken agrees. He says DOD recognized that problem early on and created programs to change the way leaders and soldiers think about depression.
But most of these programs as well have a training piece. And what that training piece is trying to do is reduce stigma, make it more okay for a soldier to ask for help, and also make it more likely they'll recognize if they're having a problem, or even better, to recognize if their buddy's having a problem. I mean, that's part of the message we want to get out there, is that, sometimes you don't recognize there's a problem going on, but your spouse may recognize it or your buddy may recognize it, and we want you to be listening to what they say. If they say, hey, you're not yourself, you got to get some help, you got to listen to that and at least give them the benefit of the doubt and get it checked out.
Depression takes many forms, but basically boils down to an illness that takes over the body and makes you feel sad and down and out. Not just for a few days of the blues, but for weeks at a time. You lose interest in things that you once enjoyed. What causes major depression? Researchers think it may be genetic. Depression does run in families, but it can occur after major physical changes in the body, like a stroke or a heart attack. Also, major lifestyle changes, like losing a loved one or financial disaster or any extremely stressful situation, can trigger depression. Terry Bradshaw says he understands the stress service members go through.
When my wife and I got divorced with my 2 children, that really sent me over the edge. It would not be unlike our military people who are in harm's way and don't know, if this little kid walking up is going to blow me up and everybody. I mean, you don't know who your enemy is. I can only imagine. And you're over there and you're away from your family. You can't see your enemy. You don't know where they are. And after a while, it gets to you. It gets to you. And I think after a while, something triggers something inside of all of us that sends us over the edge to where we sink into a hole, and life is just miserable. But I learned through therapy how to deal with it, and I learned what the causes were.
It's okay to ask for help.
So do that. Do it for yourself and for your family. And because what you're doing is tough enough when you're healthy. And understand depression is not, it's out of your control. It's got nothing to do with you. You've got it's chemicals in your brain that aren't functioning properly. So it's not you. And you can get help. So seek that help.
Now, Dr. Milliken says 1/3 of soldiers returning from Afghanistan and Iraq are seeking and getting mental health assistance.